Pledge of Allegiance, and a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Any alterations to the agenda? Hearing none, thank you. Citizens' comments regarding agenda items only. Are there any citizens' comments regarding agenda items? I'll ask one more time. Are there any citizens' comments regarding agenda items only? All right. Thank you. Hearing none. Letters and communications. Superintendent, do we have any? Bob's out here. Nothing. All right. Best part of the meeting, presentations. And we will start off with Mohegan Elementary School, please.
Come on up, guys. I'll be quick, because these guys are really nervous. They want to go sit down. So over the summer, these guys created a mural at Mohegan Elementary School that really worked to inspire our community, and I just want to say a few other things about them. Today we honor 4 amazing teachers from Mohegan. The mural you created is amazing and inspiring to our students and help beautify the school. More important is your dedication and passion that you bring to the classroom every single day for your students. So for that, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll also have more to say about these amazing teachers during the principal's report for a program that they instituted called Rock Your School.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Murphy, please.
I'd like to call up Bohadan. Bohadan is a student in 4th grade, and he started with us the summer right before starting 3rd grade. Bohadan moved here from Ukraine. His aunt and mom are both here. Is this your father too? No? Sorry. And Bohadan has just grown tremendously. He started with not a lick of English. And throughout the year in Mrs. Johnson's class, he tried really hard, just really listened and did his best to participate at all times. So much so that at the end of the year, he even stood up at the recorder concert and gave a solo performance where he had to introduce his piece to the audience. So we are really proud of him, and I know his mother and aunt are here and very proud as well. So really tremendously. I know his current 4th grade teacher was very much a part of nominating him as well, so good job, Bohadan. And then I also would like to call up Jen Levine. Jen Levine is one of the building subs at Murphy School, but she is so much more. She started in Montville in 2020 as one of the behavior support paraeducators, which is a tremendously challenging job. Managed to not only stay in that tremendous job, but also became a long-term fill-in substitute for one of our 5th grade teachers when she left on maternity leave. And over the years since then has done that 2 other times. This year she stepped in basically a couple days after school started because a 5th grade teacher had to unexpectedly leave for a couple weeks due to an injury. Jen always goes above and beyond. She was a unanimous adult nomination for just really a part of the backbone of our school. Tries so hard to help everybody, and we're just so grateful for you. So thank you so much, Jen.
And Oakdale, please.
If I could have Eric Jenkins come up first. When I emailed the staff to ask for nominations, I got a number of nominations for Eric. He is our new SSO. He just started with us in the fall. And I don't think we've had a staff member that became so beloved so quickly by so many people. So when the staff members emailed me, they said that in the short amount of time that he's been at Oakdale, he's quickly embedded himself in the Oakdale community. He partake in our staff luncheons. He brings donuts in for the staff. He can always be seen out and about. And he's made really strong connections with the staff and the students. He goes above and beyond to make everyone at Oakdale feel safe. And truthfully, I never had so many staff meetings, staff members nominate someone, and then when I sent it out to the staff that Eric was going to receive the award, everyone else said, what a good choice. So we're so happy to have Eric, and he's become such a big part of our community. So thank you. And if I could have Finn come on up in his baseball uniform. Are you coming or going to a game? Am I making you miss a game?
Couple for
Coming from practice.
I literally feel
You feel We're going to say really great things about you. So all you have to do is stand here and smile. Okay? So again, when I asked for a nomination, his teacher, Mrs. Rohde, immediately emailed me, and she said that he really stood out, and this is the beginning of the year, so she's just getting to know her students, that he's kind, caring, helpful, respectful, and a role model for all of his friends in his class. And that one thing in particular is that he is able to apply a growth mindset all the time. And even when he's challenged, he always really keeps a positive mindset, and he even encourages others to do so. So we are really proud of you, and we want you to keep up the great work, and congratulations. And if I could have Jose come on up next. And this is another interesting one. Jose is a new 5th grader to our school, and he was nominated by his brother, who's in kindergarten, his brother's teacher. So he made sure, I don't know if you still do it, but he made sure his kindergarten brother got to class every day for the first few weeks of school. Do you still do that every day? Or he's got it down pat now? No, now someone else takes it. So, and his teacher said that he is always responsible, very respectful, happy, delightful, and a positive, friendly attitude all the time. And that he made such a good transition, and he's a role model for all the other students. And then I went to check with his 5th grade teacher, and I said, now, Mrs. Tamburino nominated him. Now, are all these things she's saying true? And your teacher said, absolutely, all these things are true. So, congratulations, and we're happy to have you Oakdale School.
Well, congratulations to our Montville Marbles. It's the best part of our meetings. I think administration and board all agree it's just wonderful to recognize the student body when possible. And congratulations to all of you. We'd like you to stay for the rest of the meeting, but at this time we'll give you a few minutes if you'd like to leave before we get to our regular business.
Mrs. Johnson wants to take another picture. Let's go over here, okay? And then we can pull Congratulations. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in ages.
Nice to see you. How's life treating you?
you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is district technology plan update. Nick, please.
I promise everyone I'll make this brief. So last time I was 40 minutes, so I'm going to do 39 minutes, if that's okay. All right, so I was asked to give, every year in the spring, I usually give this report, but it makes more sense to do this report now, right before budget season, just so that everyone has a clear picture of where we are technology-wise, what our 5-year plan is, and what the tech plan is as well. So just really quickly, because I know some of the board members are new and haven't seen this before, our mission and vision is to provide reliable, secure, cost-effective technology for our school and aligns with our actual needs, not our dream list of what it has to meet what we need. All right, this started in 2022 because during COVID, we were not prepared to go one-to-one. Our wireless wasn't up to par in most of our schools. We had very old switches, and the board invested lots of money to bring us up to speed. But part of the deal is we have to maintain what we have going forward so we don't end up in the situation where we were before. So we started this plan, created this plan of what is this plan going to look like, and the board at the time was, we need a 5-year spending plan. So there's no surprises, so I come and say, hey, we need $100,000 worth of computers for next year, and wait a minute, we weren't warned about that. So now we have this forecast out. Does it change? Absolutely. The biggest thing right now is prices for the last couple of years. It's been hard to narrow down what is our price point going to be. So when you look at the 5-year plan, you might say, ooh, that might seem a little low, or ooh, that might seem a little high. We're doing our best judgment of where we think that will be. All right, so in the plan we have 6 priorities. I'm going to go through each of these quickly to describe them a little bit. So our staff. Currently we have myself, IT director, a senior technician, 2 technicians, 2 part-time technical aides. Something in the future that we always say possibly we might want down the road is a network engineer, 2 techs, so if we had 2 tech at every school, part-time secretary / data person. Right now, many of myself and my staff, we wear many hats to make this work. At times there's lags, especially in the beginning of the year, which is typical for every school district. But when we start comparing to what other school districts have, there are some things where we could improve on. All right, network maintenance. So the big project that we completed this summer was the wireless tile that was upgraded. We've heard the teachers, we've heard the students complain about the wireless, that it wasn't up to speed, it wasn't handling the Chromebooks. We went out to bid on that with the E-rate process with the 474. We got the wireless, it was put in place this past summer, and when all the kids came in, we were fine-tuning it because there was a couple areas that we had to work on. And that project is pretty much complete. We're just now doing paperwork to close up that part with the vendor. Ongoing projects, so we have installation of elementary servers that we purchased this summer. We have to put those in place. Documentation of configuration changes, that's always going to be ongoing as we make changes for our network. So if myself or someone on my team, if we get hit by a bus, you have all the documentation, you can continue on. Networks segregation, we've been working on this since 2021. As we bring in new things, we have VLANs now, so our network is separated. Before COVID, everything was a flat network. This is a cybersecurity measure as well, so that if one VLAN gets compromised, hopefully it doesn't compromise all of our VLANs. So like the security cameras are on a different VLAN than the printers. The students are on a different VLAN than the staff. And then the other thing that that's going to be happening this year right now is Transition Academy. We have an appliance where we tunnel our traffic from here to the Transition Academy. We put that appliance in. Kathy and I were trying to find the date of exactly when we purchased it, and we estimated it was 7 or 8 years ago. It's whenever the Transition Academy truly started is when we purchased it, and that's
2017.
2017. So that appliance is at the end of life for support, so if anything goes wrong, there's no support, there's no more updates. That's been budgeted for this year. We're going to be replacing that, and we'll be ordering that shortly. Future items for the network maintenance is firewall replacement and the wireless replacement here at the high school. For the firewall, it's end of support this August, so that means no more security patch updates or anything. We've had a firewall in here for a long time. The wireless at the high school is actually supposed to get done this past summer, but then we found out that Meraki extended some of their support on their devices for another year. So it bought us an extra year, which allowed us to do tile sooner. So that will be happening this summer. And when I say E-rate, what we do is we go out to bid with E-rate. E-rate currently pays 70% of the project, and we only have to pay 30%. I say that with caution because our numbers can change, because it's based off of your free reduced rates. So if our numbers fluctuate there, that could fluctuate the percentage. We're usually between 60 and 70%. We've been at 70% for a long time. I'm hoping that we stay there, or we go to 80%. And then the high school switch replacement. So when we spent when we spent money back in 21, we didn't replace all the switches at the high school because they were already a year or two old. But we bought switches for the rest of the district. Well, we have to start our replacement plan now for replacing the switches. So the first school would be here at the high school to replace them. Now, Lori and I looked at this last year, and we said, and I told her, I said, if we can go longer on this, we can buy another year, because the switches are in a good standing. We don't need to do it now. Next year, we have to start doing this, because when I look at the end, when we get to the elementary schools, if we don't start, we're going to have a problem where we're going to have old switches again, and possibly not working with the one-to-one devices in the classrooms, and the smart boards and the printers, everything that's connected. And then a login server, which is not required yet by cybersecurity insurance purposes, but we don't have a central server that logs all activity that happens with our servers, the wireless. We just don't have that. So that's future plans that we have to work on. Part number 3 is communication. So we have our website, Edleo, that we've been using. We're going to be doing some work on that. We have our phone system, the VoIP phone system, which has been, knock on wood, solid. We have our virtual meetings, which we did not renew Zoom. We're using Google Meets and Teams from Microsoft. That's been a savings to the district. The Zoom licenses was expensive, and we had it just for special ed, and it's working out using Google Meets and Teams here in the district. Parent communication is like School Messenger that we use. We're also looking at possibly other solutions. We did pull back on teachers using Remind, and we're looking at trying to find a replacement. We're trying to find something, a better placement. There's a couple of solutions out there, but we're in those phases of looking at everything right now. That piece. And then, of course, we have email, which has been around for a long time, and that's it for the communication piece.
Nick, real quick,
Yep.
Can you go back to the parent communication? So,
Yep.
Can you be a little more articulate on that? So we had a Remind, right?
Yep.
And what was the other way we communicate?
We have School Messenger.
School Messenger.
Yep.
But you wanted to increase that by how? What are your thoughts on that?
So there's a couple of different solutions out there. So a majority of the schools around our area use Parent Square, which
Parent swear or
Square. Square.
Swear.
Yep.
Well, swear.
Square. Yeah.
Swear. Parent swear. Thank you.
There's also, Power School has something called Power Hub that's been recently released as well, and that ties in with School Messenger and Power School. And then there's another product that we were looking at, Bright Arrow, I believe is the name of it, as well. Depending on which path we decide to go on, there is a cost on all three. It's which one would work best for our families, for our teachers communicating and administrators. If you do Parent Square, we would lose School Messenger, because Parent Square would do the same thing as School Messenger, but more. So what we're really looking for is a two-way communication. So, and the two-way communication that's logged, so that if there's ever a question of what was said, we can pull up and say, here's the transcript of exactly what was said. When teachers use the free apps like Remind or Band, there's no log, because we don't have a paid version of that. And we want to make sure that we're protected, and that the teachers are protected, and even the families are protected with what's being said. But there's many, when you look at these three different products, they do the same thing, but they all have their own little niche of what they do. Some do things better, some don't. It's interesting when you're talking to other administrators and IT directors about the solutions they use, because it seems like if they recently got it, they love it, and if they've had it for a while, they start telling you the negative stuff about it. So it's something that we have to figure out what will work best for us.
Thank you very much.
All right, so priority 4, productivity. All right, so our devices, K through 1, were iPads, Chromebooks from grades 2 through 12. We have Windows laptops for our faculty staff. Secondary teachers are on year 3 of their lease. Primary teachers are on year 2 of their lease. And secretaries, this is year 4 for their lease. And then we have a Mac lab here at the high school. We have 2 tech labs here at the high school and 1 at Highland. For the iPads, we just replaced the iPads at the elementary level, 100 per school. And for the Chromebooks, Tile just got new Chromebooks this past summer, and the high school's on their way. Those devices were paid not by Board of Ed funds, that was part of the grants that was around. So that buys us some time. And when we look at our forecast, it actually helps us out. We use Google Workspace, we use Microsoft Office 365. Last spring at Murphy, we had a teacher use Apple Classroom as a pilot. Seemed to work out well. We're working on pushing out Apple Classroom. This is only for iPads. So this will be kindergarten, first grade. And then the next step will be Apple Schoolwork, which will be the replacement for Seesaw that we had a couple of years ago. The Apple Classroom, Apple Schoolwork is no cost to the district. The only cost was my time learning it and setting it up, and my tech gel helping out with that piece. The future thing that we have to worry about is the replacement of Chromebooks for grades 2 through 5. The high school ones are part of that grant, so those are secured. The tech ed rooms here at the high school, those computers cannot run Windows 11, and to run the latest Adobe suite now requires you to be on Windows 11. So we're getting to a point where Dave Blanchett is still teaching the kids wonderful things, but we're gonna put a little problem with him down the road if we don't replace those devices in the next year or 2, because we have to get those to Windows 11 so he can use the newer stuff. SolidWorks right now we're okay with. I have a funny feeling in a year we won't be able to go to the newest SolidWorks. And this development of the Windows 11 piece with Adobe happened this summer. Didn't see it coming this quick. What's the other thing is the secretary devices, because their lease is going to be up. We're continuously looking at cloud storage. Right now we have our share drives on Google Drive, but the individual home folders for everyone's laptop is still kept here on premise, and we need to find a solution to put that up in the cloud. A lot of people are using Google Drive, that's a great way, but still stuff's being saved here. And then just looking at the suites that we have. Do we stay 100, or actually we're now 100% Google. Do we go 100% Google? Do we pull back and we go back to Windows, Office 365? We keep on the path that we're going. We have lots of OneNotes. We're slowly moving off of OneNotes binders. So there's a lot of things here for us to work on. All right. Safety and security. So we have our network security. And so this topic, I really don't want to go into too much detail about our safety and security. Some of it we have the executive session to talk about when we start talking about like the security camera systems and stuff. But we have our network security, we have our email security where we have the spam and virus firewall that the emails go through. We archive everything, of course, every email that comes through. We have our building security, which is our door access system, which I can report that we have found a solution that's not going to cost us a bunch of money. We recently updated the server, and if we have to put in a new door panel card, we can, and the server will read it, and continuously the old panels will continually work as well. The vendor that the manufacturer that makes our door panels, at first when they first came out, they said that the new cards would only work with the new server and the old cards would not. Well, they went back and they redid their software because they were going to lose a lot of customers because you just can't drop that on schools or companies. So that is going to save us money in the long run. Because originally we were coming to the board and we were talking about spending anywhere from $100,000 to $500,000, depending on which way we ended up going. Cybersecurity training, so we do the phishing testing, we have cybersecurity training. I've been getting flooded with the FedEx one that I did recently. And we had Dove soap free samples that recently came out. And so we can see who clicked on it, who didn't click on them. And the teachers can report this, or I shouldn't say just teachers, anyone that has an email address through Montville Public Schools. And then of course data privacy. All the software has to be pledged to the Connecticut law, or we need a special agreement with them. I can tell you the free apps, they don't like to sign this. I try to steer teachers away from the free apps because free is not free. The reason why they won't sign this is that it's free because they want to collect your data so they can sell your data. But this is getting easier because companies are now learning that they have to sign this. But it's very interesting because the things that you find, I had a company where they are here in California, the data is stored in Singapore, which the company made a company here in the US, which was from China to North Korea, if you follow the whole path. Right? So it does take time to figure these things out and time consuming, but it's interesting how the vendors are trying to get smart about how this goes, and you have to know to ask the right question. Where's the data stored? They have to answer that question. If they can't answer it, we're not interested because they don't want to answer it because it's not here in the U.S. Right, and then our records and reports. So our systems that we have is PowerSchool, which is our school records, CT Suds, which is Paul's department for special ed. We have SNAP, which is the nursing software. Mosaics, the lunch program. My school bus is the money portion of the lunch program, and we use it currently for the one-to-one program. We can definitely expand on my school bus, and also the schools could actually take in money online. We can set up online stores. Instant IQ, which is our help desk and inventory piece. For my department, Office Scope, which is all the transcripts. Incident Plus, which is for school discipline. Future growth is to continue archiving the data. Working on making the staff records digitized, and the integration of systems. Because if we can come up with systems that talk to each other, share data, it makes life easier for everyone. So when we're looking at these systems, like for example, we're talking about parent communication, I'm a pro fan of looking at the PowerSchool Power Hub because it ties into PowerSchool versus if we went to Parent Square where they have a plugin but it's not directly integrated with PowerSchool. And that's the thing that we have to look at, is the cost, because there is a cost factor. Is it worth it, or is it worth it to have a kind of separate system? But the more integration that we have with things, it's easier to move data around and just be able to pull different types of reports.
Can I ask a question about PowerSchool?
Yeah.
So exactly what does that do?
So PowerSchool's, we store our grades in there, we take attendance.
Okay, can I stop you there?
Yep.
Can a parent go into that every day?
For middle school up.
Okay, so they can every day sit down and go, how did my son do today? And looks at everything, right?
Yep.
We have that, right?
Yeah, we have it, yep, 6th grade and up. And there's an app, you can have it on your phone. You can also have it so that you get alerts every time their grade changes.
Correct.
My son's in high school, he doesn't like that, that we have that, because why do you get an F? What's going on?
Well, yeah, my stepbrother tells me exactly what he's doing every day, right from the comments to his grades, so they know everything,
Yeah,
real time.
Yep.
I think it's great.
yeah, so we have that from
Okay.
6th grade up.
Thank
It's
you.
when the parent board is on, so they can see attendance, they can't see discipline, that's why. And then part of, I forgot to put on there is we have the piece called enrollment, so that's when they do the online registration, which ties right into PowerSchool, and then we send out the snap codes where everyone updates their information as well. So, any other questions about the 6 priorities there? All right, cool. All right, so projections, expenditures for the 25-26 year. So this is not this budget year, this is the coming budget year. So the Chromebooks for grades 2 through 5. iPads right now, so for example, at Mohegan, we only have one extra iPad right now. So we have to look at our class sizes. We have enough right now, I think we can wiggle some around from Oakdale to Murphy. But I've been told, and I know this is true, that our kindergarten class is slightly smaller because of the new state law that went in effect, where the 4-year-olds couldn't come unless they were assessed and they could come in. So we have to really look at our kindergarten numbers next year, because if that class is slightly bigger, we might need to purchase some more iPads. And the issue with iPads is that it's not something that I can order and have here in 2 weeks. There's been a delay. Paula, it took us 2 months to get 10 iPads for special ed, because Apple has a backlog for them. And I can't just go to Best Buy and buy them right off the shelf there. One, we're gonna pay a lot more, and two, there's actually a difference between the iPads they make for the school districts versus the consumer. The secretary device replacement, the tech rooms at the high school, the network upgrades would be the firewall, the wireless network, which would also include transition academy, but it's really 1 AP, maybe 2. It's not a big impact, but we keep them the same as the high school because of the VPN tunnel. Cybersecurity tools, 2-factor authentication, I put that in there because we haven't Kathy and I have not met with our insurance broker yet to see if there's any changes coming. They usually reach out to us in the November, December timeframe to tell us, hey, where we're at, what the possible new mandates are coming or what is coming. This past year, we really didn't have any new ones, but there's rumors that they might be tightening up on the 2-factor authentication. They might be telling you not to use third-party apps for your phone to check your mail. You have to use Outlook or Google. So these are rumors. When we meet with the brokers, they usually tell us exactly what it's going to be. Software updates, expansion of cloud services. I know that the subscription base might seem more expensive, but then you look on the side of, hey, I'm asking for more tech and engineer, but if we put more stuff in the cloud, that's less work on us, so then technically we don't need all that staff here. But it's also more secure in the cloud too. They have experts, all they do is look at logs and what's coming in and out, versus me, I'm running all over the place. I'm always on the phone, on my computer, running to the school to help out. So I'm not looking at the logs, seeing what's coming in. And then patch management system. We're going to need that pretty soon. We don't have a solid solution for patch management. So if an update came, we count on the Windows update to do it, where a patch management system, we could push that update automatically. But that comes at a cost as well. Oh, and single sign-on, the more single sign-on we have, the easier it is for teachers and especially students, especially, I'm sorry, not even at the elementary school, high school. I don't know how many, at the beginning of the school year, Rob, you know this, what's my PowerSchool password? What's this? And we're like, oh, click on forgot my password. They can't, they lock their account, they tried it so many times. So the single sign-on for them works the best. All right, so my conclusion is that success depends on partnership with the Board of Ed, administrators, the community. We're going to be working on continuously updating, reviewing this plan. This plan is to be out every 5 years. The technology plan, so the link is there for the technology plan. I do want to stress, when you look at it, there's not a mistake. Diane's not listed as superintendent on the plan. It's Lori Powell, because when we updated it, it was back in May. So Diane and I are going to be meeting, and we're going to be working on the plan, but I did not want to just change her name in this plan because she wasn't the one that truly did the last update, and I didn't think it was fair to do that to her. So together we're going to work on that plan. Diane's aware of everything what's in the plan and talking about it, but I want to make sure that we do it the right way. And then the 5-year expenditure plan that we have out there, that includes our hardware, doesn't include like curriculum software. You're not going to see PowerSchool listed there. This is things that are not an every year cost. These are things like the replacement of computers, which is every 5 or 7 years, or hardware. And that's everything. So I hope, if you have any questions, I'm here.
This is kind of a sidebar question, I apologize. But we had been talking before. You had mentioned perhaps you would consider recommending a discount for their Chromebook insurance. Is that something still doable for next year?
We have to look, so when we get to the one-to-one, that's an interesting piece. So we have the protection plan in place, it's voluntary. So the people that don't use it, I can see, because this is something that we hear all the time. I paid for the protection for 3 years, we haven't used a claim. Is there any way I can get a discount the following year? And the answer is that's something that we can definitely explore. But also, I just want to keep in mind if someone damages their Chromebook, they pay $40, but let's say they smash it, it's really costing $120. So that pool of money together helps pay for everything. So we have to make sure, so what I don't want to do is we do that, and then I come to the board and say, hey, I ran out of money. So it's a balancing act that we have to see, and I think the first step is we need to look at see how many people fall in that situation. It's because if it's only a handful of people, I say let's do it, because especially at the middle school, Greg would love to find a way for the kids to stop breaking the Chromebooks.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Because that age group, and I just want to make it known, it's just everyone, even across the nation, talk to IT directors, middle school, the breakage is through the roof, and everyone is trying to figure out a way to minimize it.
ESSER funding covers those Chromebooks for 2 through 5, or not?
No, that would have to, we have to find another source, because we exhausted our, if I'm misspeaking, we, high school, yeah, high school is the last one that we.
That was covered by ESSER.
Yes, high school was.
Thank you.
Just one more question. Access control doesn't have anything to do with me. Is it all under facilities?
Are you talking about the door system?
Yeah. Is that
It-
all facilities?
No, so the software side's me, hardware side
Yes,
is facility, so it's a team effort.
ma'am. Okay, do you know the company that we're using?
Yes,
And who is it? Do you know who it is?
I do, but I don't want
Okay.
to say it out
Yeah, say it out
on
loud.
public record
Okay, okay.
of what it is.
All right.
So,
well,
but I can tell you afterwards.
That's fine.
All right.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Yep.
All right.
I edited that, but that's okay.
Oh.
It's okay. I just made some of it bigger. That's fine. I'll just give this one. All right.
Yep, all set.
I'm next. So last month you guys had asked for a little bit of a deeper dive as far as the disabilities, the number of disabilities in each of the schools. So I'm prepared to do that now, and then I have the overview of the supervisor's responsibilities as well. And then Amanda Brown is going to be presenting on the pathways. All right, I'll just click here. Okay, so for Palmer Academy, we have 12 students with emotional disabilities, 2 with specific learning disabilities, 3 with ADHD, ADD, 1 with SLD, specific learning disability, dyslexia. Now, the top one is other health impaired. Usually that is ADD category, but it can be other outliers of things that they qualify for under other health impaired. Montville High School, and these numbers are going all over the place. Intellectual disability, we have 6 students, 1 with speech and language disability, 5 with emotional disability, again, 1 with other health impaired, and that could again be ADHD, I don't know. Autism, 7. Specific learning disability is 29. I suppose I could have broken that down to the specific categories, whether it's math, reading, but I didn't do that. If you want that, I can certainly do that. Again, dyslexia, 9. Multiple disabilities, we have 1. And ADHD, you have 22. Town Middle School, we have 4 intellectually disabled students. Speech and language, 3. 4 emotionally disabled, 2 other health impaired, 12 autism, 45 with SLD, and 12 with specific dyslexia, 3 multiple disabilities, and 23 with ADHD, ADD. Then we get to the elementary, you have 1 intellectually disabled. You can see that 14 speech and language. No emotional disabled students at Mohegan, 1 health impaired, 16 autism. That's where we have our RISE program, so that, that's why that number is particularly large. SLD, we have 12, multiple disabilities, 1. She is new to us this year. No dyslexic students at Mohegan, and 3 developmental delay. And those, you can only be developmentally delayed till 5, so those will change. And then 11 ADHD. Oakdale, there is no intellectually disabled students there. 8 speech and language, 2 emotionally disabled, 1 other health impaired, other OHI is what they call it. Autism, 5. Specific learning disability, we have 12. 3 with dyslexia, 5 with developmental delay, and 8 ADHD. Question? No. Preschool, there's 3 with speech and language, 3 with autism, and then 21 with developmental delay. Excuse me.
So, the 21 developmental.
Yeah, I'm going to go back.
So they catch up by things?
They either catch up or their disability changes. So you can only be on developmental delay till 5. And then at Transition Academy, there's 5 on the autism spectrum disorder, and 1 emotionally disabled and 1 intellectually disabled. And the autism spectrum students, I'm not sure, some of them also have ID. Murphy Elementary, intellectual disabled, 1, speech and language, 15, emotional disability, 2, OHI, 4, autism, 8, specific learning disability, 10, 3 with dyslexia, 3 with developmental delay, and 10 with ADHD.
So, if I heard you correctly, development delay stops at
5.
age 5?
Yeah.
What is
So-
it called after
so-
that?
Well, so then you got to the specific, whether it's speech and language,
Okay.
yeah. So they have a reeval, with tests and things, and they are either exited, which does happen, or they're given a different exceptionality.
That's why I was wondering if they exit out of development.
Some do.
Some do?
Mhm.
Thank you.
I just had 2 today, and 2 PPTs that were magnets to both students, but they exited. Yeah, so.
Or do a lot of the speech and language, they must exit before they get to middle school. How is many in middle school?
You know, I don't, that would be an interesting, thing to look at. I don't know, how do I go backtrack on
Definitely don't
this?
have as many primary disabilities as somebody once they get to the middle school. We do have students that need the services still, but not as a primary disability.
And how many do you know how many have for just language and not speech? Because the language piece is pretty interesting.
Yes, it is,
And
but they don't
sometimes
break it out
That language piece can go to the, to the learning disability.
because of the processing.
Yeah, because what happens is for language is that when they hear it, it doesn't process through their brain.
Right.
It's just really interesting.
It is, it is.
Yeah.
So would speech mean they literally cannot enunciate?
Some are articulation, some are like Donna was saying, processing issues.
Well, that
A number-
would just
there could be a
language,
number
not
of-
speech.
Could be expressive language, it could be deceptive language.
So they're tied together, in other words.
Yes, they
Okay.
are, but they don't break, the IDEA doesn't break them up.
Got it.
Are ESL in any of these numbers? Or is that a separate?
No, that's a gen ed. Well, they
Oh,
would
they're
be
in there.
in them.
Oh, they're in
yeah,
there, yeah, like if our multilingual learners are identified as special ed, they're in those numbers.
Yeah,
If they're
If they're identified, yeah.
yeah, but it's
These are
not
all
an
students who've been
exceptionality.
identified.
Yeah, it's just not an exceptionality. 504, did you break out as well, or no? I did not do 504. 504 is usually medically based categories. And I should say, you could have, so for a student to qualify for special ed services, they need to require modified instruction. So you could have a student with ADHD with a 504 if it wasn't impacting their ability to learn.
So the
So if
modified,
they 504 gives more accommodations. You'll get accommodations in an IEP, but you also get modifications. So they need specially designed instruction to be qualified for special ed,
and that's the modified is based on the baseline instruction given in the school
the curriculum.
curriculum.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, so sorry, I didn't realize we had another slide. So St. Bernard's is our private parochial school. The numbers keep growing there. I think, I don't know, when I started, we had just a handful of them. But now we obviously have 20, 19 anyways. 10 with specific learning disabilities, 7 with ADD, ADHD, 2 on the autism spectrum disorder, and 1 with dyslexia. We do not create IEPs for the parochial schools. They get what is called a service plan. But we are still obligated to run the PPTs and do the evaluations. Even if it's a student that lives in New Britain and is attending St. Bernard's, because it is housed in Montville, we're responsible for overseeing them. So,
So where's our liability stop there? In other words, you assess them, but you do not provide a plan.
Correct. Well, they'll develop a service plan based on what an IEP would look like.
Based off your assessment, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't receive any services though. So they get no special ed services at all in the plan or.
So once your assessment's done, we're done.
So all the assessment does is continue their eligibility for special ed, which then gives them the service plan.
Thank you.
That's it.
And we also, through our IDA grant, they get monies from us based on the amount of students that we have and that they have. And every year I have a meaningful consultation with the directors, the administrators at the school, and determine how they want to use that money. Currently, they're using the money to hire tutors, retired special ed teachers, to support those students. Out of district, Raymond Hill, I have one emotionally disabled child there. River Run, one. Attlebrook, one emotionally disabled and one on the autism spectrum disorder. Bradley School, I have 2 on the autism spectrum disorder. Lighthouse, which is in Niantic, I have 4 students there, 3 on the autism spectrum disorder and 1 with multiple disabilities. Waterford Country School, 2 emotionally disabled, 1 on the spectrum and 1 ADHD. Connecticut Coastal, they have 2 schools, 1 is in Deep River and 1 is up at the Tamarack Lodge. And I have 1 OHI and 1 SLD. Whitney Hall is not it's not a place I outplace to. The state will place a child just like the Charles Hayden. So those are residential placements, but we're responsible for the educational piece.
Who pays for that? State or us?
State. The state. We pay for their education.
We pay for the education.
Yes.
They pay for the,
Residential.
got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are there different levels? It sounds so naive, but I really appreciate you talking about this because I don't understand a lot about this. Are there different levels of emotional disability and autism spectrum disorder? Are there different levels, or is it just a...
No, the autism spectrum disorder is huge.
Right.
So you can have a completely high-functioning student on the autism spectrum disorder that can go out and hold a full-time job and what doesn't need transition services. They can be very highly intelligent. Or you can have those that are nonverbal and intellectually disabled.
So that's a significant piece of figuring out where they are when you put them...
Well, so, yeah, depending on their struggles for any one of them, I match them with the school I think is going to be the best fit for them.
That's what I was looking for.
Yes.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep. It's getting harder and harder because a lot of them are full. And then I have one right now that on the autism spectrum disorder that really the best place would be Solterra or Attlebrook, but that's in Cromwell. So.
The Waterford Country School, the one that has ADD, is there something else that goes on with that one student other than ADD? And if there's nothing, then why wouldn't that student go to
Well, off the top of my head, I don't know which student that is, but often, or not often, but sometimes, children with ADHD, they have emotional dysregulation. They cannot control, they're very impulsive, they can't control their emotions, so they may get impulsive and, be aggressive or something like that.
And Paula, of course, we provide transportation, so
We do.
that must be a big budget.
Yes, it is. It's a very big budget.
And it's also possible, because I see it on the street I live on, that children don't go to the same delivery service, but is that?
Yes, because we cannot in-house provide all the transportation, so we outsource that. And that is very expensive.
Right, because 2 kids live on the same street, 3 houses apart, but there's 2 cars for them.
Well, they might be going to 2 different places.
I just wonder about that, that's what
Right.
I just wonder about that, because like, it's like Kurt and Liberty, and they're picking up 2 houses apart, like, how's that?
Yeah, they're probably going to 2 different schools.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's difficult. I currently have a child that's completely dysregulated on the van, the curtain, and I need an aid. Can't find an aid. Mom refuses a harness, so we're looking for other companies that have availability and have an aid as well. So, yeah. It's difficult. Okay, any other questions regarding that before I move on? So my special ed supervisors, my right and left arm, they are responsible for overseeing and coordinating special ed programs and services for all the students across the district. This role involves ensuring compliance with federal and state regulations, supporting staff development, and working collaboratively with teachers, parents, and students to improve educational outcomes. Under program management and implementation, they support the principals with the oversight of special ed programs within their buildings. They develop, review, and finalize all individual education programs in collaboration with the IEP teams. Sometimes that can be quite time-consuming, particularly if CT says it's not cooperating. Yes.
What is an IEP team?
IEP team is the team that works with a particular child.
Would that be?
So
who would that be besides?
So it would be the special, depending on the child's needs, special ed teacher, guidance if they're secondary, guidance counselor, if they're having speech, they get speech, social worker, OTPT, general ed teacher, and administrator, and a parent.
Wow.
Yep. Yep.
That's for each IEP?
Each meeting.
Each meeting, okay, thank you.
Yep. And then each provider has goals and objectives that they need to develop and enter into the system. And then Teresa and Amanda ensure that everything is compliant and accurate before they're responsible for finalizing.
Do they finalize them through you, or do they finalize them with your permission? You
No.
delegate that?
They do that, yeah.
They do that?
Yeah. Where did I leave off? Monitor classroom practices and provide guidance to the special ed teachers. Under steps of supervision and development and support. And now, this is an overview. I mean, their scope is pretty big, just as is mine. And on any given day, you might be doing something additional. But they supervise and provide support to special ed teachers, paraprofessionals, and behaviorists. They conduct informal observations and provide feedback to ensure high-quality instruction and support, and facilitate and lead monthly department meetings. Collaboration and communication, they collaborate with the general ed teachers, counselors, other schools, all school staff to support students with disabilities. There's not a day I don't go into Amanda's school, wherever she is, and teachers are popping in left and right. So it's sometimes hard for her to even get anything done.
How are the supervisors split up? You have 6 schools, so I'm curious, how are they split up?
Teresa does the elementary,
All of them?
all 3 elementaries, and elementary magnet. Amanda does the secondary and St. Bernard's and magnet. I do elementary 504, out of district clinical, and any other, complex we tag team and work together.
High school?
High school?
Yeah, who does high school?
Amanda, secondary, high school, tile and tile and high school. And David does his own for the most part, or he calls Amanda or I. Okay. Collaborate with everybody in the school, in the district. They engage with parents and guardians to discuss student progress, IEPs, and any concerns related to special ed services. conduct transition PPTs, so every year in the spring, for those students going from 5, changing schools from 8 to 9 or 5 to 6, they coordinate and they work with stakeholders at both levels to plan appropriately for those students. Collaborate with Nexus District Liaisons, and collaborate with Connecticut Tech Schools, the administration there for students that transition there. Program evaluation and improvement. They assess the effectiveness of special ed programs and services. They're circulating throughout the programs, whenever they're in each building. It can be difficult because if they're in one building and something happens in another building, they're not in the same building every day. We collect and analyze data related to student performance and the program effectiveness. Develop and implement strategies for continuous improvement based on data and feedback.
What are the tools they use to assess the effectiveness of special education programs and services?
So data team meetings, IEP goals and objectives, benchmarks, IEBs, intermittent, what are they called, IEBs? IEBs, intermittent assessment.
And how often do they do that? Is there a periodicity to that, or is it as needed?
So they're looking at data regularly.
Yes.
Yep, like Amanda meets and Teresa meets with the program teachers and that team weekly to see, get the data and see what's going on. And then I'm having them graph student individual data on a monthly basis.
Thank you.
Mhm. Administrative duties, assign case managers. At the secondary level, Amanda assigns case managers and gives them access through CT SEDS if need be. Assist in assigning paras to students per IEPs. Maintain accurate and confidential records related to student service and program compliance. They participate in district level meetings and committees related to special ed. Maintain and submit projections to building admin and school counselors for incoming or the students moving. SBAC, setting up accommodations for SBAC. They determine ESY, they filter the ESY process for me. Determining eligibility for ESY, which is extended school year, summer school, is done at a PPT. But the teachers are required to complete a form that supports the recommendation. And then it goes to Teresa and Amanda, and then it comes to me.
So it starts with the teacher?
It starts at a PPT with the team. With
Got
the
it, okay.
Yeah. They prepare and submit college board requests at the secondary level, develop high school courses, and set up an oversight of the pathways programs. IEP management, review and finalize IEPs and ensure they are implemented as written. They coordinate and participate in IEP meetings with teachers, parents, and other stakeholders, like we spoke. They input the new referrals into CT SEDS for PPT1 and PPT2. So if a parent, because there's no special ed teacher assigned at that time, if a parent or a staff member makes a referral to PPT, those documents need to get uploaded into the system, the referral documents, and they do that. Because once a child is identified, then the case manager handles like the invitations and things like that.
So if they review and finalize IEPs, does that mean that's based on the IEP team?
So you have a PPT, and Teresa was going to go over the IEP process today, and she's unfortunately sick. She really wants to do that, so we're going to let her do that next week. But what happens is you have a PPT, you come together as a PPT team, and you determine the appropriate program for the child. Goals and objectives, if it's an annual, you review what goals they've mastered, what goals you're going to be reviewing and revising, and then each discipline will input their goals and objectives with their services, and Amanda and Teresa review that before they finalize it.
Thank
So they address any concerns or issues related to IEPs and student accommodations, whether that be coming from a student, a teacher, a parent, an advocate, or any other stakeholder. And again, they develop and finalize, Amanda does, service plans for students privately placed at St. Bernard's. Student support, they monitor and review student progress and academic performance. They address and resolve issues related to student behavior, academic challenges, and social emotional needs. They advocate for students' needs and facilitate access to necessary resources and support.
Paul, for any class, either elementary or secondary, if there's a special ed student in a classroom, is there always a special ed teacher or a parent educator with them? No, sometimes there is.
Sometimes it depends on the level of the child. Like at the secondary, they do co-taught, so the special ed teachers, they co-teach. Then they have the resource room, the learning lab, which is kind of, I don't want to call it a study hall, but it's a learning lab. So that's run by the special ed teachers. And then if it's a more involved child, they might have a para with them. And then the elementary does both push in and pull out. And they pull out too at the secondary. Problem solving and crisis management, and that's always ongoing. They collaborate with me to address and resolve immediate concerns or crises involving students with disabilities and provide guidance on behavioral interventions and modifications as needed. And they attend any conference possible. CONCASE is the annual conference that we all go to. They stay informed with current trends and best practices in special ed through conferences, webinars, and social media platforms, and participate in ongoing development, professional development and training. And that is it. Any other questions? And that,
Special ed teachers do as well in the district.
oh boy, I should know that. I can get you that number. I don't know it off the top of my head.
Preschool has a number of them.
Preschool?
Each school.
Oh, yes, each school. If I went through each school, I could do that, but yeah. All right, now I need to find you, Amanda, for yours. Thank you, Nick.
Do you want to just click through it? Do you want to click through it for me?
Yeah, I can. Just if you get it. in the- Right there, top place. Okay, Amanda was, worked very, oh, okay. All right, Amanda.
All right, so obviously we have pathways programs in all of the buildings, or at least at each grade level. I focused on the child pathways program because that's the program that I really spent a lot of time developing this year with my team and am the most familiar with. So this is really tile. So if you go through Paula, go to the next one.
Oh, geez.
You just hit the next.
It's a PDF, I don't know.
That's a PDF, so.
Okay.
We'll make it work.
All right. So the vision of the program, obviously to create nurturing and inclusive environment where every student feels safe, supported, and empowered to overcome their challenges and heal from past trauma and achieve their full potential. So this is a program designed to be a trauma-based program. Through the holistic approach, the prioritizes emotional well-being, resilience, and positive relationships. The classroom community will be cultivated where every student can thrive academically, socially, emotionally. We've worked really hard this year to create a community within that classroom. That's something I think we lost when COVID happened and we went to remote. And we cycled through a couple teachers in that program. So we're working really hard now to really create a community. The mission of the program, providing trauma-informed alternative classroom that fosters healing, growth, and success for all students. Obviously, it's grounded in compassion and understanding, evidence-based practices, and it's really to create a supportive learning environment that promotes their emotional regulation, builds their resilience, and fosters positive relationships. They really work on building up the tools and skills and resources that the kids need to navigate all of their challenges throughout the day, developing self-worth so that they're more empowered to become confident and capable learners who are engaged in not only the classroom but the whole schooling community. So our program goals, like we just said, to provide a safe and nurturing environment. We really do want to put a big emphasis on building those relationships, not only with the classroom staff, but with their other gen ed teachers and other teachers in the school. Trauma-informed teaching strategies are used in the classroom. Use of mindfulness and coping techniques. We teach conflict resolution and emotional regulation. We promote cultural sensitivity and equity, and we do routine check-ins, assessments, and data collection. So every morning this year, these students start their day in the classroom, in the Pathways classroom. They do a morning meeting where they have a check-in. How are you feeling? Each student develops their own goal for the day. They work towards that goal, and they collect data throughout the day with either their paraprofessional, the teacher in the classroom, and then they review their data at the end of the day as well with all the students. In order to get into the program, it's not a free-for-all, which is a little bit what was happening a few years back, where if we had a behavior, they automatically just got shifted right into the Pathways program. Now we have this program entrance criteria, so the student must have an IEP, they must have goals and objectives already in place discussing about the behavior before we refer. So we have had students that have wanted, families or people have wanted in Pathways, but they haven't even had behavior goals in their IEP yet. So there hasn't been any opportunity for us to work toward remediating those prior to putting them in a more restrictive environment. So with this, we do that. An FBA must be completed by our BCBA in order to even look at entrance into Pathways. And then multiple classroom observations. And that is done by our Pathways teacher, who's Mr. Leinberg. Our BCBA can come in, our school psychologist, and/or our social worker. We also have a referral form. So whoever is referring this child for the Pathways program would have to complete that referral form. We would expect data to be taken from the general ed teachers about the behaviors that they're seeing. And then we have those forms in student services. I would review that form. I would work with Mr. Woods. Greg would review it with me. And then we also would make sure we would call Paula in as well. If it's a crisis situation, we can do a diagnostic placement in Pathways, which just means we can forego that, really the PBT part, not the PBT part, but we can forego the immediate FBA and the need for all of that. We can put the student into the program diagnostically. We would still need a PPT. We would still create goals, but we would meet every 2 weeks until we know that student is eligible for that program.
Who determines a crisis?
Who determines a crisis? I think that would, at this point, be myself and Greg, and then we would also consult with Paula.
Thank you.
The Pathways teacher is the one who monitors the data, adjusts the behavior plans when necessary, and that person works, Mr. Leinberg works very closely with our school psychologist and our social worker. Kelly, who is our new BCBA this year, has also been in that program a couple of times, and she is helping when needed. Student data comes from academic progress reports, the daily behavior sheets, some of the students with their behavior intervention plans, and like we said, multiple observations. We have Paris observing these kids all day. The classroom teacher, Mr. Leinberg, is going into the gen ed classrooms to see how these students are doing. Our social worker and our school psychologist are monitoring these students, and I can assure you that Greg and I are monitoring these students as well as we hear their names come up. And then we also have an exit criteria. And it's really small, so I'm going to pull up my page.
I can try to
All right.
make it bigger on the sheet.
So in order to put a student back into the general education population outside of Pathways, We really want to see that they've maintained participation for 90% of the time for 4 to 8 weeks. So in fact, this year, all of our pathway students do access their general education classes. The majority of them are going to all of their classes and staying for the full period. We do have some that will go, they'll get the direct instruction, and then after the first 20 or 30 minutes, they go back to the pathways room to complete the independent work.
So that's how 90% is determined?
So what we need to see is we need to see how much of the time these students are staying in the general education classes versus the pathways classroom.
Thank you.
The student cannot require additional behavioral support. So the student can't need a para in order to access their gen ed classes. If the student still needs that level of support, then that student probably still needs pathways. Maintains grades of 70% or higher. Success in pathways program as evidenced by data collection. Decreased time on community field trips. So once a week, our pathways program does take a community field trip to Waterford Country School, where it's experiential learning. So they care for the animals, they do a lot of team building things, they do rope courses. What else do they do over there? I know the rope course has been a big one lately.
Yeah, and they work on the farm
They
too.
work on the farms.
Yeah.
No discipline referrals. They have resulted in school suspension or out-of-school suspension for 6 to 8 consecutive weeks. And then obviously the guardian has to be a part of this whole conversation because without their buy-in, nothing is going to work. And we would also need to do a PPT meeting in order to do that. So I think that's the last slide.
That's it.
I'm pretty sure it's the last slide. So I decided that this might be the better way to help you understand all of this. So what this is this is all of our pathways documents. So these were made by myself, Mrs. Richter, who is our school psychologist, Mrs. Gilio, who is our, Mrs. Gilio, who is our school social worker, and Mr. Leinberg, who is the classroom teacher. So if you look through there, and I don't expect you to go through all of this now, but don't hesitate to go through it at your leisure. You can always email me any questions you have, but if you look through this, it has a lot of what we just went through. It has our vision and our mission statement. It has information about building a trauma-informed classroom. So things we kind of followed as we built pathways over the summer. It has our actual intake form. It has our exit criteria form. And then it also has our section, a section of paperwork that we're using for notes. So when you look at the referral for pathways, then we also have a section for reflective notes that people can write so that we do have data from various different stakeholders when we're making these decisions about a more restrictive environment. It has the scope and sequence of pathways. So when you look through, I think it's number 3, you'll see really what we're doing throughout the day as far as our WIN class. So our WIN class, the whole class is together, and that's that reading, that's what I need. And they are picking books that are really appropriate to the students in that classroom, books that they will really buy into and engage in. There is, on Tuesdays, it's social emotional learning. On Thursdays, it's Mind Up. And on Fridays, they focus on functional life skills. And also in this package, all of those are explained. So Mind Up is explained with really how it's implemented in a classroom. The life skills portion is explained in there for you. Every day they do, like I said, they do the morning check-in. So that form is in there if you're interested. Some kids choose to do it through a Google form, and they submit that. Others choose to handwrite it. There's a cute little color-coded form in there. And then when you look at that, there's also the example of how what the data looks like when it's collected per student if they do the Google form. There's the Pathways sign in and sign out form in there. And then the next page after that has a reflection. So each time a student leaves a classroom to come to the Pathways room, they need to fill out a reflection form. So we know exactly what was it that caused you to leave. Did you choose to leave, or did the teacher send you here? What are we going to do to remediate this so that it doesn't continue happening? There's just the experiential learning trip form is in there. There's a support staff expectation sheet in there that is specific to pathways and what we expect from those support staff, those behaviorists who are in that program. There's our ongoing monitoring expectations and, you know, who is overseeing what. And then there's all of our student data tracking forms, and I think those are probably what will be the most interest to all of you. The one that you see in here, you'll see the form that we use on a daily basis for each student, and that's the very last section. So every student has this form, got some explanations, and then the last few pages are graphs that show you what that data looks like when it's input. The graphs that you have are not an actual student. I couldn't print out an actual student without their name being all over it, but they are examples so you can see. So this is what we're seeing really we look at it every week. So every week when we meet, we can look at these graphs and really see if we're making progress or if they are changes we need to make.
You touched on if there's a discipline issue. Is it a regular school policy discipline, or is it because of the manifestation of their disability? How are they disciplined?
So I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
And I think it depends on the situation. You know, for example, if one of our Pathways kids comes in with a vape pen, they're going to get the same consequence that another student is going to get. If one of our Pathways students gets upset and then refuses to do work and walks out of a classroom, then chances are that student is going to go back to Pathways instead of municipal suspension for the day.
So it's a lot of gathering of information.
Sure is. But that's what you want when it's a restrictive environment.
I no issue with this whatsoever. It's very detailed and very clear. I'm going to look at it a little closer after the meeting tomorrow sometime. Are you finding this effective, for lack of better words?
I will say, and Greg, you know, chime in if I'm wrong, but I think this is the most successful year I've seen in Pathways so far in the 5 years I've been here. I think we're seeing data tracking up for all. Look, I've even got a teacher over there agreeing.
I agree.
I've definitely seen the data tracking up for our kids in that program.
Hey, Joe.
And I think that I could see one or two that might not even need it moving forward.
I would say in the last few years, it's the best that Pathways has really operated. To see the progression of that has been really rewarding, and I think it's one of the things that we're most proud of. The students, what used to be like school avoidance, they don't want to miss school. So that's like the number one thing. They don't want to miss school because they built such positive relationships with the students and the adults there. Amanda and then her team with Sasha and Amy and Tim and the parents that are in that room are a real community, and they're in constant communication. So the exit criteria, the entrance criteria has been huge. Just because Amanda's right, a lot of times I think staff get frustrated and they want to jump to something, but we're not servicing the students with that. I think the other knock from what I heard, you know, was that students, it's automatic, if they're in Pathways in middle school, then they're going to, you know, Palmer or their transition academy automatically when they get to high school, and that has not been the case. Students have made such tremendous growth that they go to Montville High and they do well. So the program is like really thriving, and again, I think it's one of the highlights of our building for sure because of the hard work that everyone put in. The students are doing
I
wonderful.
think it has to do, this is my opinion, there's a huge investment here by staff.
There's a huge
Do you think the kids are recognizing this, the students, that you're really invested in them?
I think they do, and I mean, we have a really wonderful, not that we haven't in the past, but the teacher we have in there, Mr. Lineberg, he is so invested, and this is the program he wanted. You know, he didn't come to be a special ed teacher in any department. He really wanted to be in the behavioral realm. And these kids just love him. They buy into him. They want to make him happy, and he's built relationships, and he has good relationships with the families too. And I think that's a big part of it. And I love that we now have this block in the morning where we get the whole group together with Mr. Lineberg and either the social worker or the school psychologist. And every morning they have a different, really quick, just a quick topic, like how are you feeling? And then you know, today is this day of the year, and
And
you know, it's Macaroni and Cheese Day. What do you like about it?
the fact that, the biggest thing that Amanda said, I think, is just every student right now is going to all of their classes and
Yep.
staying there for the entire time, and you just can't underscore the significance of that. You know, a couple of years ago, kids would refuse to go to any class. They would be in the Pathways room the entire day. Now they are going to their classes. They get support in Pathways, but they want to be in class. They're fully a part of the school community. And again, it's just really rewarding to see that grow.
It sounds like it's a fresh, clear start every day and not robotic. That sounds really nice.
And that's really important for these students to know that if they make a mistake, it is a fresh start the next day. With that.
But you can't hear what they're saying sometimes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wow. Good job, Paula. Good job, Amanda. Thank you. Anybody have any further questions? All right. Next item on the agenda, excuse me, approval of the consent calendar. Move. Second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none? Passed. Thank you, board. Budget report, Kathy, please.
We have submitted the board's year-end encumbrances, prior year write-offs, accounts payable, and accrued payroll for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2024, to the town. However, we have been unable to complete our reconciliation as this information had not yet been recorded by the town's records the last time we received any printout from them for the 6/30 year-end. I've been in contact, I have emailed.
Can I stop you there? What is that? I don't understand what that means.
What we do is at the end of the year, we give them, because they don't have our encumbrances, all they do is post our expenditures. So at the end of the year, we reconcile our activities and we give them a list of our encumbrances by purchase orders. We give them the prior year write-offs.
Yep.
We break down accounts payable, which could be the 13th month, or it could be purchase orders that haven't been processed with invoices attached, and our accrued payroll. So we have accrued payroll through 6/30. We give them all that information for them to book on, and then we reconcile our activities between the town and the board. We've reconciled our expenditures, but we haven't been able to complete this process once this information was provided, because we haven't been able to get that. I've reached out both to Barbara and to Pat Wall, who said he was waiting for Barbara for guidance on how to book it. So we haven't been able to do that at this particular point. But as the expenditures were balanced, the exchanges were balanced, we balance as far as we can go until they actually do the journal entry to book that.
Does a lack of doing that hurt us in any way or
No.
affect us in any way? It's just
No.
a bookkeeping thing?
It's bookkeeping. I mean, the accountants will need it because they'll have to reconcile, but as far as we're concerned, we've completed our task. They have to complete their task so that we can reconcile, but because other things balance, it should all be in the balance sheet side, so it won't affect the expenditures what we have on our records, I believe. Additionally, we have been notified by Teamsters that they're requesting information to conduct an audit of the health insurance premiums for the transportation department. I have been working on salaries and health insurance projection, but further analysis is required to provide accurate figures. Current trending is insufficient to generate reliable numbers. There have been several certified staff vacancies that have been recently hired due to late resignation, including one position posted because of a December retirement. Additionally, 2 substitutes are being paid at the long-term rate of $286.21 to cover for certified staff leave of over 40 days, which may impact the sub-object account depending on the length of the coverage required. We now have 35 full-time paraprofessionals, which is an increase of 10 positions. We are monitoring the salaries and the health insurance accounts to evaluate the potential for transitioning additional hires to full-time status, but at this particular point, we're on a hold until we can do other training. We are conducting a salary survey for nursing positions due to the ongoing challenges of hiring and retaining staff in this department. We are currently using a subcontracted service to meet student needs and will continue to do so until another nurse is hired. This year, an additional nurse was required to meet IEP requirements for students after the budget development, and the cost of subcontracting services has been approximately $5,600 through September. At this time, we cannot finalize projection for regular education tuitions, as we have not yet received the enrollment data from the magnet schools or Legend VOAG as of October 1st, 2024. Special education outplacements and transportation costs are still trending with a shortfall. We will continue to monitor these areas and update the board with any significant changes. We have obligated all the ARPA ESSA funding by the required September 30th, 2024 deadline, and now we have until March 31st, 2026 to liquidate these obligations. Update on school project. The high school scoreboard has been installed, and we've received some very positive feedback after the delay. The tile roof project is nearing completion. The vendor is working on the skylights over the media area, and once finished, the final walkthrough will take place before the board accepts this project as being complete, which is part of the school construction requirement. Work on the HVAC system is still in progress. I have not gotten any update other than what we originally got, that we're hoping that the bids will go out in November for Palmer and I think one of the other elementary schools. I can't remember which one it was. Murphy? I think Murphy, yeah. The vendor has received the majority of the material for the doors at Oakdale and Tile. Willie is working on scheduling that to have the least impact on the school to have that work completed. Just a future item, on September 17, 2024, there will be a public meeting at 6 o'clock in the auditorium of Montville High School to vote on an infrastructure project for both the town and the school. The school's project being considered are the roof replacement at Palmer Roof and the underground tank replacement at the transportation facility. Questions?
Two questions. Fire alarm system at Murphy.
We ran into a problem, and Willie's working with some vendors at this particular point. Originally, it was going to be a complete replacement, but he's working with vendors at this particular point to talk about whether or not that system can just be updated and not have to be completely gutted, because that price was double what we had in the bonding. Right, and we can't get the vendor who we actually got the capital plan to respond to our calls because they supposedly gave the wrong number to Steve Carroll. So we are working on that, but we just don't have a plan at this particular point to present to the board to find out where we need to go.
And the steps out front.
We haven't done an RFP for that yet.
Is Will's talking about the fire panel?
Yeah.
Yes, at Murphy.
And does it meet code, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Does it meet code?
It does meet code.
It does.
There's a failed system in Tarnavit, which they said that the only way they could do it is cut the whole system and start over. We've had a vendor who's come in and said that they didn't believe that to be the case, that they felt that they could upgrade the panel to be able to account for that. And the system is working okay now. It's not that it's not working, but we still need to have our solution on what we're going to go forward with. So we're still working on that. He's got two vendors, I think, at this particular point, at least working to see. First, I said I need to have assurances that this will work, because I didn't want to put money into something that we'll find out that it doesn't work and we are back to the same place as what we were. So we're just trying to get assurances that if we do this, that it will work, and we'll have to get a number for that, and then come back and present that to the board. So we have not.
Steps though, maybe, or too late, right?
Steps, I mean, we just haven't got a scope of work at this particular point to be able to go out to bid. So I mean, it's probably not going to be done during the school year anyway, but it'd be something that we would do during the summer. We didn't have money, that would be consideration of the board to take it out of 2%, so it's not a time constraint.
Yeah, that definitely, I mean, I was there for open house, I mean, that is,
Right.
I wouldn't call it rickety, but they are definitely end of life.
Right, 100% agree, 100% agree. We actually may have to have an engineer come and do a scope of work for us, because there's ADA compliance and whatnot that has to go into those stairs. So I mean, it's not as easy as it seemed just to replace.
Thank you. Any other questions for Kathy? Thank you. All right, on to new business.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the Montville Administrators Association Agreement effective July 1, 2025 through June 30, 2028.
So moved.
We have a first. You made the motions. I'll second it. Any discussion? right then, all those in favor say, the motion is to enter an executive session for professional agreement between the Montville Board of Education and the Montville Administrators Association. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. We're going to move to a large conference room. Time is 7:35.
Can we do that at the very end?
Yep. So we've been advised by the legal team to do it, but it's placed on the agenda. Yes. Session at 7:53, no votes were taken. All right. All right, new business. Consideration and action to approve the Montville Administrators Association Agreement effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028, as recommended by the negotiating committee.
So we had negotiations with the MAA, which began on August 6th. Representing the board were Wills Pike, Lisa Terry, and Natalia Sierra Milan, who is from Shipman and Goodwin, our attorney. And Joe Jaskowitz was serving as the town liaison. Prior to our meeting with the administrative team, we reviewed the administrator settlements in other districts for the 24-25 season. The results of these negotiations is a 3-year contract spanning from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2028. A key outcome was the agreement on a new 3-step salary schedule, which is replacing the previous 85% placement system for new administrators, which lacked clear definition and could be seen as arbitrary. Under the new system, the top step will receive 2.5% annual increase, with each step below being 3.5% less. An exception was made for the special education supervisors, who will receive an additional $2,500 in the first year, along with 3 additional work days and a 2.5% annual increase thereafter. Health plan contributions will also see incremental increases, with premium cost shares rising 0.5% each year from 22% to 23.5%, and dental premiums increasing from 24% to 25.5%. Additionally, plan design changes were implemented to reduce costs overall. Another significant change is the phase out of the 2.5 tax sheltered annuity for employees hired on or after July 1st, 2025, and the reduction of non-work days from 5 to 3, allowing administrators to flex their days during the school year. Administrators did ratify the contract recently.
Any questions? Discussion? All right then. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
How about a motion?
I did say consider approve, action to approve. And then I said we had a motion. Did we not have a motion?
No.
I stand corrected.
No motion in second.
I stand corrected.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Contract approved. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Tim. New business B, designate Diane Bumbach as the first authorized signature, ED-099 Agreement for Child Nutrition Program.
So this is something that the State Department of Education requires. So this motion just removes Lori and adds myself as a signer along with Kathy Lamoureux for the Child Nutrition Program. The agreement designates representatives authorized to enter into an agreement with the state and certify the claims that we make for reimbursement. Action by the board must occur to make the changes to authorize signers so that claims can be signed and submitted and reimbursement delays can be avoided.
We have a motion?
Motion.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Old business? Nothing. Good. Committee liaison reports. Policy?
We met this evening. Thank you to those who were able to attend our meeting. We just talked about the continued discussion and review of policy 5131.81, electronic devices. We are still gathering some data, and we've asked the superintendent to reach out to principal, Rob, at some point, just to get some information from him so we can have further discussion, but nothing's been decided on at this point.
Thank you. It was a very good discussion last Thursday. Really appreciate it. Education evaluation meeting was canceled. Communications committee.
No meeting.
Thank you. Montville Education Foundation.
I believe they're meeting next Monday, because yesterday was on.
Thank you. Learn, we did not have tonight. Montville Youth Service Bureau, Tim?
They met last Thursday. The only real thing is they're having a fundraiser, their annual fundraiser basket raffle on Election Day at each of the polling places. Last year, they did this and they raised over $3,000 for their programs. And their next meeting is November 14th.
Thank you. You're all by yourself tonight.
No?
No.
He's there.
Oh, you snuck in? When did you come in?
I went while you guys were in executive session.
Okay. We'll start with you, young lady.
Okay. So this past week, we had Spirit Week at MHS, which I always feel like is really exciting for students because it gives them something fun to look forward to, and it provides opportunities for students to feel more connected with the school and students around them. Our Spirit Days for that week, we had America Monday, which is like America, and then we had Country Club versus Country, and then Wednesday we had Dress Your Age, which was like freshmen were like babies, and then sophomores teens, juniors adults, and then seniors as senior citizens, and teachers had an opportunity to dress as students, which was really fun. And then we had Black and Orange, and then we had class colors. And I think like my personal favorite and a lot of the students' favorites I think was America Monday, just because there was a bunch of like fun outfits and colors and accessories that students got to wear. But I do really think that Spirit Week had a positive effect on all the students. There was a lot of participation in each class because at the end of every day we would round up how many students participated, and there was a lot. And by the end of the week, seniors won, but it was still very fun and there was a lot of participation. And that Thursday we had our first pep rally, and we were supporting all of our fall athletes as well as the football team who had homecoming game that night. And at the beginning of the rally, all the seniors from the sports were recognized and all the teams got to go out in the field. Overall, I think the pep rally was really exciting for students because we had a bunch of fun activities and the atmosphere was very enjoyable for everyone. We had our band play the national anthem, and we do like a little like school cheer to see who can cheer the loudest as one of our fun events, and so they played music for that. And the cheerleaders also had a fun dance routine, which got a lot of positive feedback from student spectators. So I think that was really good and gathering support. Our fall sports teams have been doing really well. A lot of them just gearing up for end of season events. The football team has put in a lot of hard work and effort this season, and our soccer teams have been competitive, and cross country runners are just preparing for final meets. And it's been really nice to see how many students are going and attending games and supporting our athletes. And just like looking ahead, we have our PSATs coming up on Wednesday, and like especially like juniors have been preparing. In the school, like teachers in the school have been referring students to online SAT courses and like helping them in class. Like for AP Lang, my teacher has brought us through like certain SAT prep courses online to help us, which I think has been really effective. Even though it's a little nervous, like makes people a little nervous, but there's still a lot of determination and focus, which is always great. But yeah, overall, everything's been really good from Spirit Week and all of our athletes and SATs, but yeah.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
In the past month, a lot of the clubs have started to pick up their regular activities, and as Tiana was saying, last week was definitely the busiest for student gov. There's a lot that goes into playing the Spirit Week and the pep rally and dance and all that. But I think overall it's been one of our better productions that we put on, essentially. I think everything went pretty well according to what we had in mind. Obviously, I think the amount of participation, especially in the days like black and orange, like everybody has something black and orange, like a hat or a pants, jersey, whatever. Like everybody has something like that. So that had very high participation. I will say the Dresses Your Age Day didn't have as much participation, but I did see, especially the seniors, had some very funny and very inventive ideas. So that was really fun to see. And our pep rally went very well. Our dance also went really well. It's always a little stressful because you don't know exactly how it's going to turn out, but I think it was pretty accurate to how we were imagining it in our head. This Friday, me and Sabria, and I think one other sophomore are going to be reading our poems for some of the English teachers, and then our poet laureate for this year will be decided, so wish me luck. For this past week, NHS held a raffle where you could bring in non-perishables, and then you get a ticket in a raffle for a homecoming ticket, and then the funds or the food that we raised will be going to the Montville Food Pantry. Our newspaper club, which was created last year, has its first issue of the year coming out this next week with articles on our student government and the new AP African American Studies class, which I am in, and I can say it's a very thought-provoking, very interesting class. Not something that I feel like is as well covered in other classes, and I really like the content that we're learning in that class. And then finally, our drama production has the dates of December 12th, 13th, and 14th for its winter show.
What's the show?
Girl Kills Monsters, I believe that's what it's called.
She Kills Monsters.
She Kills Monsters.
Thank you. Principals?
I'll just go real quick. I think Adam was a little modest. Student government did an amazing job at Spirit Week last week. It was one of the better weeks we've seen in recent memory. The homecoming game, we had a really nice crowd for that. And then we had something new. This really wasn't anything we sanctioned, but the fifth quarter bonfire hosted by the police department was a real nice event and well attended. I think the homecoming dance on Friday night was really well attended. Causes me a little anxiety at times. I think we had close to 350 kids there, but well behaved. It was a real nice night by everybody. I haven't heard, usually sometimes you hear, oh, the music was this, the music was that. I've heard nothing but positive praise from our students following the dance. So student government did a real nice job this week, and it really is nice to see our community come together.
I will say a chunk of the students that came to the dance were outside of the school. There was a big percentage as opposed to previous dances that were from outside Montville.
Yeah, I'll go. None of the Palmer students attended the dance. And even today they were talking about us. They were showing pictures and talking about the dance. So I would agree with everybody. It was really a great event. And I'll just shout out the board. The hiring of the BCBA for this year is a real game changer. Having an in-house person to consult with who has that board certified behavioral expertise has been very helpful.
We've never seen her, but we're looking forward to meeting her.
Yeah, Kelly Cavallo, she's really good, and it's just a game changer having her in district versus Project Learn, so it was a really terrific move.
I have have 3 things from Tile that we're really proud of. We started Tile Buddies, which is a program for our students in our life skills program that meets with non-disabled peers, and they do a lot of things during school and after school. And it's based off of the national program, Best Buddies, that you may have heard of before. We pended Tile Buddies, and we're doing it all kind of in-house. And there's things like cornhole tournaments with Clark Lane Middle School that we've attended last year. We want to do a Best Buddies dance with local schools. We do advisory sessions with them, and the objectives are to foster friendships, encourage a culture of inclusion and acceptance, develop social skills and raise awareness and increase acceptance. We had students volunteer to be a part of it. We had over 40 students that have volunteered to work with our life skills population and create this Tile Buddies, and they have to have great grades. They need to be out of discipline referrals, and it's the start of something really positive at Tile. We also have the Girls on the Run program that we started this year, thanks to Ms. Cirillo, Ms. Capoza at Tile, and that's a physical activity-based positive youth development program designed to enhance girls' social, emotional, and physical skills and behaviors to successfully navigate life experiences. And we have a large group of girls at Tile that stay after school to do that. There's a curriculum that's followed, and then they incorporate running and exercise into it, and it's been really a positive for a lot of reasons for us. And then we have 2 students that are leaving this week to go to Japan, a 6th grader and an 8th grader, who are black belts. I just learned that they were black belts today, so they are now on my security team, personal security team. But a 6th grader and 8th grader are leaving this week to compete in the World Karate Championships. And we didn't know this was happening. Their coach, who's a Montville parent who runs a dojo in Montville, just emailed us to give us a heads up because the kids are very humble. They're 2 of our greatest academic students as well, but they're leaving this week to compete, and we wish them well. And to represent, we're going to give them some Tile gear to bring to Japan. So we're a lot of good things happening at Tile.
I'm just going to speak something that impacts all 3 elementary schools. I'm not sure if the board is aware that we have a unified schedule. So all 3 elementary schools follow the same daily schedule amongst the grade levels. And one of the benefits to that is that all of our teachers at a grade level are available at the same time so that our coaches can work with them. We're implementing a brand new robust language arts curriculum, and so just as an example of that collaboration with them, our kindergarten teachers all last week during one of their, a typical Tuesday afternoon, were able to all get onto a Zoom meeting at the same time during the day for some embedded professional development that was, needed in the beginning days of implementing that curriculum. So just an example of how that has helped us just to, maintain and also get the coaches, the geography of Montville is pretty wide, so having the coaches be able to, utilize that technology and have the teachers together at the same time is really helpful.
We're wrapping up, all of us are, but I just wanted to talk about wrapping up goal meetings. They've been really good. The new evaluation plan, the teachers are really excited because the learning is about them, and in turn will increase student achievement. So they've really thought about what they need. And personally, my favorite goal this year is the preschool and kindergarten. Due to legislation, is implementing play-based learning. So they're all doing that as a goal this year. And we already had 1 day of PD, well, a day last year and then 1 day this year. And the next day, I walked into classes and they're already implementing things that they're learning in these PDs. And it's really good stuff. So I can't wait to see how that goes for the rest of this year.
3 of the Marvels you met tonight, along with 3 of their 1st and 2nd grade colleagues, participated in a nationwide event called Rock Your School, where they decorate their class as a theme for the day, and they designed the academics around that theme. Tremendous engagement. The kids had a blast. Some of the themes were the kids all dressed up as Monsters, Inc. Characters, Toy Story characters. Another class was designed in a maritime theme, and Mrs. Foster, who you met tonight, she designed her class as Starbooks instead of Starbucks, and the students were all dressed up as baristas. It was pretty exciting. The kids had a blast. And one final thing, all 3 of us also had the fire company in, just so you guys are aware, to present fire prevention to all of our students.
That was, the kids were, every grade level wearing those plastic fire hats, and all the teachers were like, oh, we're so glad this is back, like, it's the little things that are starting.
It's a new fire marshal, and he's really trying to use the school. He's
Yeah.
doing an excellent job.
Actually, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff. Thank you very much. Wow. Information items. Our next board meeting is scheduled for the 19th of next month. Let's see. For district operating plan. Let's see. Report.
Oh, yeah. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, so just real quick, an update on the transition program. They are doing a mini unit, I think I spoke to this last month as well, on voting. They are going to be going to the town to fill out a ballot and learn why they vote. They're going on the 25th to the town hall for early voting, and the staff will be helping them decide who to vote for or to help them fill out the ballot. And this is a way to provide access to voting and lessons on civic engagement to all the transition students. They are continuing to do their normal budgeting routine, and this week students had to budget for several trips into the community and save for future expenses. And then as far as their interns, they are showing a desire to be more independent at work and setting goals for increased independence. They're working on breaking down their goals and objectives into measurable small steps so that they can set weekly goals this year. They'll be working on this with all IEP objectives for the next several weeks. And they ended last week with a great hike at Rocky Neck for 2 miles.
Thank you. Assistant Superintendent?
All right, we had another very busy and successful day on September 26th for professional development. Our preschool, kindergarten teachers and their paraeducators engaged in half-day training around purposeful play and executive functioning with our consultant, Karen Gray. This work allowed for teachers to engage in new learning and spend time working with their grade level teams on how to incorporate this work into their daily routines. It was a blend of instruction and guided practice as well as on your own and small group work. And obviously that was successful as they were turning it around the next day, which was our hope for that type of professional development for sure. Our coaches spent the morning with our elementary grade level teams. Part of our implementation plan for CKLA is for our coaches to work with grade levels in rolling out each unit of study that they're doing in literacy. So the teachers work closely with them to understand the standards that are being taught, what they're assessing the students on, as well as the important instructional strategies and moves that they will need to teach the students during that next unit of study. So that's our plan to continue to do that for each grade level individually as those units roll out. Other professional development opportunities on that day were Uplift, a trauma-informed care training program for our social workers, school sites, and special program teachers, as well as our BCBA. Curriculum refinement at both middle and high school levels, and an update on laws around restraints and seclusions at our elementary schools. And Tile worked on defining their PLCs, which are professional learning communities. I as well was able to attend a professional development at the state level called Performance Matters on October 10th. There I was fortunate enough to engage in sessions dedicated to leveraging data, redefining district systems, and learning about critical literacy moves to move our students forward. The information gained there will help support the work at our district and to forge relationships with high-performing schools in Connecticut. So we've been very busy with our professional learning in Montville.
Thank you, Superintendent.
Okay, I'm going to echo that we have had a lot going on. I wanted to update you on some security meetings. I have met with Mike Collins, who most of you know is our head of security for Montville Public Schools, and we met and discussed having monthly meetings with the entire security team as a way to provide opportunities to discuss safety issues and devise strategies around prevention. In addition, I met with Mike and a couple of our principals to ensure we are doing all we need to do to establish a culture of safety within the school community. We want to make sure our teachers feel supported and safe, particularly around the threats that we hear. As a reminder, a couple weeks ago, there was that potential of a nationwide swatting event, which was a little stressful, but we were well prepared and everything went smoothly. So we're going to begin monthly meetings with all our SSOs and SROs beginning this month, just to make sure we're all on the same page. With all other issues and concerns, I have to say Mike has been wonderful for me to work with, and he's been available to me 24/7. I've contacted him on a Sunday, he's gotten right back to me. In the evening, he's been great. Our teacher and administrator evaluation and support plan was approved at the state level. So if you remember last month, we had to make very, very minor changes. So they went through no problem. We have begun the process of ensuring all educators and all administrators are going to be evaluated. We are setting goals and meeting with, evaluators are meeting with their team. As Joe mentioned, most teachers will be, they will meet on their goal setting by October 15th. I have already met with 2 administrators, and I'm really pleased with their work, particularly around academics and climate and culture. And I'll meet with the rest of them before the deadline. Additionally, I've set up a schedule to ensure I walk through the buildings with the principals twice a month. I have already begun that, and I've been very pleased at what I have seen. I was at Palmer last week and Tile today, and it's really great witnessing the lessons and the general positive feel in the schools. Andrea, Kathy, and I have been working on our title grants and just submitted them and approved them for the state. So just as a little overview, we have Title I, which is the Department of Education's largest K-12 grant. So those are funds that are used to improve student outcomes. And if you remember, we talked a little bit about the Title I Compact last month and the work that we do with parents to keep that learning happening at home. Title II is designed to increase student achievement and allows us to use funds to improve the effect of teachers and principals, and also allows us to hire staffing. And then Title III is our multilingual grant that purpose is to ensure that there is language acquisition as well as high achievement with our multilingual learners. We have continued to hire both non-certified and certified staff, as Kathy mentioned, and in particular in the area of special education, we are still looking for paraeducators, and we just hired 2 special education teachers due to resignations. And finally, I have attended a few PTO meetings, open houses, staff meetings at all the elementary schools. In addition, I met with all the union presidents. These are all pieces of the entry plan that I had shared with you. I did attend some workshops around superintendencies, and I belong to a community of new superintendents, and also attended the Learn Superintendent meeting on Friday, and totally stressed out from being out of the district for 3 hours, and I came back and it was like, I felt like I was gone for a real long time. I've also attended statewide meetings on school threats with the governor and the commissioner of schools. So it's been a real busy month. I have to say I'm so grateful for the administrative team. Thank you for all your work and support, and all the faculty and staff, because they've been really working hard up against a lot of challenges. We have a great team. And today was day 32, even though it may feel like it was day 62. So that is my report.
Thank you. Citizens' comments? Any citizens' comments? Any citizens' comments? Okay. Board member comments? Start with you, Don. Tim?
Good.
just thank you to everyone for your competent hard work.
Lisa?
Good luck with your poem. And Jacob, welcome back. We missed you last month.
Sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize.
That's good.
We don't need to know why, but we're glad you're back. And that's all I have.
Bonnie? Erica? I'll make it fast. So I have now sat on para, teacher, secretary, and administrative contracts. I will tell you that the negotiations with the Montville administrators was respectful, reasonable, rational, and I like that. I thought it was just a nice negotiation. I know we ask a lot sometimes of you, especially in special ed. We appreciate Paula and your team tonight. But I want to point out a couple things. I turned the TV on the other day, and there's two superintendents, one from Hartford, one from New Haven, begging for special ed teachers, begging on television for special ed teachers. We know they're alliance districts, they got plenty of cash flow, they're not going to fail. Ding, 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 I'm thinking to myself. Then I'm sitting at work, and I belong to a thread of board chairs in the state of Connecticut, and I'm sitting at work, and I find out, oh, special ed directors quit 3 weeks ago in Ledyard. Oh, and by the way, they just lost a special ed teacher in Ledyard. So I think to myself, wow, there's another thing right there I got to remember. And it's important to remember this because this is a very significant part of who we are at Montville, not just Montville, but across the country. And I want to make sure that we do exactly what we need to do for special ed. This board wants to be attentive to your needs. We try to do that, and we're going to stay that way, and we appreciate the presentation tonight. It was a big deal for us, and I appreciate that. Football game, I went the other night, baseball. Can't get into football games, I don't have cash. Woman was very nice, sitting there, making smiley faces on kids' hands and stuff. So 15, 20 people didn't have the app, but everybody has a credit card. So I thought, well, it kind of worked out all right. The second thing was, a lot of middle school kids try to get in the football game, and we didn't know about that. And I thought to myself, that seems odd. So I spoke to the woman, and she said, oh, no, they've known for a while. If you come in, you have to have a guardian. You can't just walk into the game with an adult. You've got to have a guardian. Overall, I thought it was a well-executed, she was friendly and polite, and people weren't complaining, and she showed me what the QR code was. So we'll just forget about what Facebook says. I don't think it's important. I just don't. I mean, I saw it in real life, so we're just going to leave it alone. And finally, we look forward to meeting the board-certified behavior analyst. You guys have raved about this woman. It's quite complimentary for someone who just started, and you guys are all seasoned. So the board appreciates those comments, and that's all I have to say. So, future agenda items, anybody board? All right, motion to adjourn.
So move.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Did that